Hello, and welcome back to another video of the TI4 browser app. Today's video is pretty exciting because we get to go over the 12th faction to see its way into the browser app, and we got the space plants here, otherwise known by their official name as the Arborec. Now, there's something particularly special about implementing this faction into the app, and that is that now that we have a total of 12 factions, we're going to be able to implement a single draft mode, because with the maximum player count at 6, we can randomly deal out 2 factions to each player and give them the choice of which faction they want to play. So each 3-player, 4-player, 5 or 6 will be able to do that, which will be pretty cool. But enough about game modes. Let's get into the faction here. So I have the Arborec's faction sheet pulled up, and we'll just take a look here at a preview and then hop into a pre-made test game to put the mechanics on display. Alright, so as with every faction, we have a unique flagship. Here we have the Duha Menaimon, and typical sustained damage, 5 capacity, but the feature here is that after we activate this system, meaning the system that contains our flagship, then we're going to be able to produce up to 5 units in this system. This is pretty nice because, number one, it gives the Arborec another way to produce infantry because their space dogs can't, as we'll see from their faction ability. So yeah, in a way, it provides some more snowballing potential. Now, the way this doesn't work is when you can't activate another system and then move the flagship into the active system and produce. It has to be you activate the system that the flagship is currently in, right? So the flagship can't really be moving when it's going to be doing this. All right, so we'll see the flagship in a bit. Let's go and look at our one faction ability here. We have Mitosis. So as I was alluding to before, because of Mitosis, our space dogs can't produce infantry. What Mitosis allows us to do, though, is at the start of each status phase, we'll be able to place 1 infantry from our reinforcements on any planet we control. And of course, there's no limit to infantry in our reinforcements, so this will never be hindered. All right. Okay, then we have probably what makes the Arborec who they really are, and that's their infantry, the Letani warrior. And the special thing about them is that for each infantry you have on a planet, or in space perhaps, you get +1 production to the system. So what's pretty nice about this is it kind of works a lot in the same way that the Clan of Sar works in terms of how they can snowball, right? So imagine, you're moving ships, you're activating that system, and then you take your infantry into the active system and you take control of the planets, and now you don't have a space dock in the active system. However, you do have, let's say, a few Letani warriors, and so you'll be able to produce at the end of that turn and create that snowballing effect, which is nice. So we'll see that. And finally, the last thing we have here is they have their faction technology, and we'll hop into the game and take a look at that as well. So here's our pre-made game here. We are playing as the Arborec. We are the blue colored faction here down at the bottom. And yeah, let's just, we'll take a look at the tech in detail later, but just to kind of show you what it is bioplasmosis. And so this kind of works in the same area as mitosis. At the end of the status phase, we're going to be able to relocate as many infantry as we want from planets we control to one or more planets that are either in the same system or an adjacent system. So that's a pretty interesting mechanic, and we'll see it towards the end of the video here. All right, so let's begin with our flagship here. So in this system, we have our flagship currently, and what we're going to do is we're going to see how this works when we activate our system. So it's our turn to perform an action, so we'll go ahead and activate the system with our flagship. And this is pretty much when you want to use the flagship ability, because it's after the system is activated, and it's in this timing window here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your units here, and you're going to click on the flagship, and it will bring you over to the build units screen. And we'll get a specific prompt here telling us that we're using the Duha Menaimon, our flagship, and that we can produce up to 5 units in this system. So we have all our planet cards here. I believe we have some trade goods as well. Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's purchase 5 units. So we'll use 3, and then maybe 4. Oops, I committed resources by accident. Let's undo that. So 3, 4. With those 4 resources, maybe what we'll do is build a cruiser, maybe 2 infantry and 2 fighters. That should cost us 4 resources. So we'll commit those resources, buy a cruiser, 2 fighters, and 2 infantry. And now, when we go to confirm our choice, because the flagship is kind of floating in space, and because we've produced 2 infantry, we're actually going to be asked where we want to place those infantry, kind of in the same way that the floating factory of the clan of Sar will ask you where you want to place those infantry. So maybe what we'll do is, well, let's see where we currently have our infantry here. They're all on Arnor, and so I think I'm going to keep it that way, so that way later on I can give a nice demo of the faction tech, and you'll see why. So back to the screen here, we'll confirm, and we'll put both of those infantry on Arnor, and we'll confirm. And yeah, we got a prompt here that we've used the Duha Menaimon. And if we go to the game log, we can see exactly what we've done. All right, and taking a look now at the system here, we got our 2 fighters, our cruiser, and now 3 infantry instead of 1 on Arnor. So that's the flagship ability. And yeah, you gotta be a little mindful here, because you have to do it during the resolve an ability after a system is activated. So, I mean, that is the nature of the automation. Everything's done in a specific timing window. So yeah, just keep these things in mind. Now, because we have used an ability and the other players have now passed, we can use another ability, but we're not going to be able to use the flagship again. So if we try to click it, we'll be told that we cannot use the Duha Menaimon, and that's because we've already produced units with our flagship during this ability round. So to prevent any kind of build abuse there. Okay, so let's pass. And now what happens is, because we've activated the system, we get to choose units to move. But let's say we don't want to move any units, so we'll just click confirm and move no units. But now you'll notice here that we don't have a space dock in our active system. And yet the game is asking us to resolve an ability when we use production. And that's because of our Letani warrior. So we have 3 Letani warriors in the active system. That gives us 3 production. And this is where we're going to showcase the Letani warrior here. So we don't really have any action cards or anything to use for this timing window, so we'll pass. But let's go ahead now and produce units here via the Letani warrior. So we'll build units, and we have production 3. So if I try to do something like spend 2 trade goods and build 4 fighters, well, okay, first of all, I'm being told that I'm overspending by 3 resources. Let's just reset that. Oh, because I had my planet selected still. So if I do this, and I do 2 trade goods, and I commit my resources, and then try to build 4 fighters, you can see that my production has been exceeded. Because our production from the Letani warriors is only a total of 3, right? Yeah. So we can't do that, but let's what we can do, and I think actually I have discovered a bug here that this might not be exhausted when it should be. Yeah. So that needs to be updated. But yeah, so we can build 3 units. So let's go ahead and build, let's use 3 resources for perhaps a carrier, and then 1 for 2 infantry. So we'll commit those, we'll build our carrier, and 2 infantry, and we'll confirm. And yeah, there we go. So that's using the Letani warrior to do production. Okay, so we'll pass and end our turn. The other players have passed, so we'll come back to our turn, and now we'll pass again to bring the game into status phase. And so the first thing you'll notice is if the Arborec are in the game and status phase is triggered, up at the top left of the screen, we're being told to resolve the Mitosis ability. So going back to the faction sheet, let's remind ourselves what Mitosis does. So Mitosis has we have the passive thing here where our space docks can't produce infantry, but then we also have this ability at the start of the status phase that we can place 1 infantry on any planet we control from our reinforcements. And it's pretty simple, but if you're not sure, you can click the help button. So how do I use Mitosis? We double click the planet card we want to use to place the 1 infantry on, and then we'll be asked to confirm. So perhaps we will do, let's do mirror. So we'll find mirror. Currently we have 4 infantry there. Let's double click it, and we'll confirm our choice. And now, hovering over mirror, we're now at 5 infantry. Okay, great. So that's Mitosis active. And so what we'll do now is we'll pass on the objectives to score here, so that way we can get brought to the end of the status phase. Well, we still have to redistribute our tokens, so we'll do that. Get the other players to also redistribute their tokens. And then you'll see here that we have another ability round, which is to resolve an ability at the end of status phase. And this is precisely where one would use Bioplasmosis. So at the end of status phase, you may remove any number of infantry from planets you control and place them on 1 or more planets you control in the same or adjacent systems. And again, if you're not sure what you can do during status phase, click the help button. And currently it's very limited, so the help button is pretty all-encompassing here. How do I resolve an ability? at the end of status phase? Well, we select any game components as usual that can be played in this junction of the game. For example, now would be the appropriate time to play the technology card Bioplasmosis. So let's see, how do we do this? Well, as with any card in the game, you're going to double click it, right? But the way Bioplasmosis works is a little different. So let's explore that here. So first we double click Bioplasmosis. And we get this prompt. And it's pretty descriptive here. So you may now move infantry between planets. To do this, click the infantry from the planet you want to move from via the enlarged hexagon. So what does that mean? We'll go through this, component-wise. Basically, if we want to move an infantry from here, we don't do it on the main board. We click the system on the main board, and then we click the planet, and then we'll have access to the infantry down at the bottom of the screen. Then, once we click that infantry, we're going to click the planet we want to move the infantry to on the enlarged hexagon, right? When we're ready to submit our choices, we will double click this card again. So currently we haven't moved any infantry, so if we double click the card again, we'll get this confirmation prompt to confirm or reset our choices. But really right now, if we confirm, we can't play it because we haven't done anything, right? Later on, once we start selecting things, we'll have the option to reset here. And then all the infantry reallocations will be reset. And then we can double click the card again to start moving our infantry. So let's do that. So the first thing, we have to select one infantry to move. Right? We do this one infantry at a time. So perhaps we want to start moving our infantry off our home planet and getting it out a little further off into the board, right? So maybe we want to take all our infantry from Nestfar and get it out, let's say, to Aranam. So how do we do that? Well, first we click the system where we want to move the infantry from. Now to access them, we click Nestfar and we click the infantry. So now we have this infantry selected, and what we can do is go to Aranam and click it, and then we'll be told that we have removed an infantry from Nestfar and placed it on Aranam. But this won't actually happen until we go through with the confirmation, right? So we're being told now to select more infantry to move, or double click the Bioplasmosis to confirm. So that was one infantry, and we got 3 more we want to move. So let's click it again, back to Aranam, and we'll do this 2 more times. And now for the last time here, let's say I try to do something illegal, like I try to move all the way up to Muad here. I'll actually be told that I can't do it because I don't control the planet, right? You have to control the planet. So I'll go to Aranam. Now I've used all 4 infantry, so if I try to click a 5th one, I'll actually be told that I can't select any more from the planet because I've used them all. So we'd have to go and reset our choices if we wanted to restart that. Okay. Now, what if I try to do something illegal? Because according to Bioplasmosis, I can only relocate infantry in adjacent systems or the same system. So what happens if I try to take an infantry from Arnor and send him all the way back to my home planet? Well, right now, the app will actually queue this up, and it looks okay. But let's see what happens if I try to confirm my choices now, right? So I've done 4 legal moves to go from Nestafar to Aranam, but I'm doing an illegal move and trying to go from Anor to Nestfar. So if I go back to the Bioplasmosis card and double click now and click confirm, first of all we get a confirmation of what we're doing. So we know that we're moving 4 infantry from Nestafar to Aranam, and we're trying to move 1 from Arnor to Nestafar. So if I confirm, I'll actually get an invalid move order here. And the Arnor lore system is indeed not adjacent to our home system. So the game automatically resets our choices and asks us to try again. So if I try to just confirm again now, I have nothing selected because we were doing something illegal. So let's follow through with the legal action now. And let's move all our infantry to Aranam again from our home system. And then we'll do one more legal movement, which is we'll take 1 infantry from Arnor and actually put him on lore. Okay, so we have legal movements now. We go to confirm, and this time when we confirm, you can see things have been updated accordingly. So we have no infantry left on our home planet. We have 4 infantry on Arnor instead of 5 infantry on Aranam. And instead of having 5 infantry on Arnor, we moved 1 to lore here. There's a bit of a visual thing, like these tokens aren't necessary to be here because of the infantry, but yeah, it's just a bit of a, I guess, a visual bug here. Still technically like representative of the game state. All right, so that's Bioplasmosis, and that actually brings us to the end of all the abilities and technologies and Flagship for the Arborec. Yeah, so that's the 12th faction. It's going to be nice, as I was saying at the beginning of the video, because now we'll be able to implement a single draft into the game as a game mode. I think next, what we're planning on doing is probably one of a couple of options or a few options. Either looking to implement some sort of in-game, either like chat feature or note-taking feature. The other avenue we're looking at is solving the transportation issue of currently not being able to pick up your infantry along the route. I think that's a high priority. And also being able to allow the user to undo system activation if the game permits. So I think that's what I'll have to look forward to next in the next upcoming video. As a final thought, if you are enjoying these videos and you want to get free updates when the video comes out, feel free to subscribe down below. We typically have videos coming out regularly on a weekly basis. We're constantly trying to update things, improve quality of life, add in more game components. We have a Discord you can also check out. But the best way to keep up with the recent news is through the YouTube channel. So feel free to subscribe to that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy playing the Arborec, and yeah, if there's any comments, feel free to leave one down below. Otherwise, we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.